Hello everyone, welcome back for another edition of Virtual Yoga. I'm your instructor Mike, and I'm happy to have you with me this evening. What I wanted to do for tonight's practice is a neck and shoulders series. This is another area that a lot of people deal with pain. One of the reasons for it with the shoulders specifically, they're all suspended essentially by muscles and connective tissue. So there's a lot of effort just to keep your arms upright, because the only part of your shoulders that's actually connected to your spine is through your collarbone. So again, in reality, this doesn't bear a lot of weight. It's mostly muscle and connective tissue that hold all these things up, and that's why they become so stiff and tight for a lot of people. So we're gonna specialize. Work that neck, work shoulders. It'll be a shorter practice for tonight's specialty in yoga. But if you're ready, let's go ahead and get started. Just go ahead and lay down on your yoga mat if you got one. If you don't have one, that's fine. You just lay on carpet, that's totally okay. Just wherever you're comfortable, you can lay down, go there. And just close your eyes for a moment. Start paying attention to your breath. Breathing low in your belly, low in your diaphragm. And if you want to double check if you're doing that correctly, place a hand on your stomach right below your belly button. You're gonna feel the stomach expand. When you take an inhale, it's gonna contract. You take an exhale. That's belly breathing. It's the breathing technique I recommend for the practice to help slow things down. It slows the heart down, slows the nervous system down, it slows the mind down. And what we're doing for tonight's practice, yin yoga. Yin yoga is a gentle and passive style of yoga where you stretch and hold poses for an extended period of time. And this is to work into not only our muscles, but our connective tissues. That's the deeper tissue that actually hold everything together, holds the muscles, the bones, and the organs in place and in line. So it's really important to do. And how we're going to do it with tonight's practice is by holding poses for about a minute or two, with the neck and the shoulders being smaller areas. I don't want to hold these for 5 minutes. Could potentially overstretch you, but a minute or two, it's right in that sweet spot for you. But if you're doing your practice and you find out a certain pose that I'm teaching is not working for you, listen up to the modifications that I suggest. There's lots of different options, ways to tweak up the pose so you can effectively find what is best for you, because we all have different bodies and we all have different needs. So if what I'm doing doesn't jive with your experience, again, just try to pick out those modifications I suggest, because a lot of times you'll be able to find what stretch, what modification you need to find the most efficient way to do it. When you're ready, let's go ahead and open your eyes. And we're going to start our practice off, since it's just neck and shoulders. Let's begin with the neck. What I want you to do to loosen things up is just take it into a circle. Full range of motion here. And you go a few times one way, you go a few the other. Doing your best to balance, and when you feel your balance, go ahead and rest your neck at the center. And we're going to do a couple of stretches, some light stretches for the neck. The first one I want you to do, doesn't matter which side you start with, but take an ear and lift it up to the ceiling. You're going to feel some lengthening throughout the side of the neck by elevating. This is a very different emphasis as opposed to trying to get the ear to the shoulder. A lot of times when the ear hits the shoulder, you're going to end up overextending. And I don't want you to do that. I'd rather you elevate it anyway for a more efficient stretch. So we'll hold it for a little bit, 20-30 seconds with these areas. When you're ready, you can release. And then we'll do the other side. You lift the ear, elevate it. Hold for a while. Feeling that side of the neck stretch. When you're ready, you can release. You can just move it around a little bit. We're going to turn our heads to the right. So just to the point where you start meeting resistance Don't push past it. When you're ready, release, and then we'll look to the left, again to the point where you meet resistance. But two sides are different, aren't they? It may feel easier to turn your head one way than the other. When you're ready, release, move around a little bit. We're going to stretch the front of the neck, potentially even the jaw. Lift your chin up to the ceiling, feeling the lengthening throughout the front of the neck, possibly even through your throat. But try not to crank back with your neck. Lift up with your chin. When you're ready, release. You're going to bend your head forward. Chin to chest if you can get there. If not though, that's fine. But it's the back of the neck that you should feel. When you're ready, release. Just move it around a little bit. We're going to do one more neck stretch. We're going to use our hands to assist with this one, and we're also going to use a little bit of visualization. 0 degrees is in front of you. You got 90 degrees on your shoulders. Let's not worry about the exact specifics to it. But again, 0, 90, and 90 for you. You're going to take your right hand, put it on the back of your head, pull your head down to the right to around 30 to 60 degrees, and you should feel the back left side of your neck stretching. Just very gently pulling down here. When you're ready, release. Move it around. Shake it off. And then the other side. And if you're on the same page as me, it's left hand on the back of your head. Pull your head down to the left to around 30 to 60 degrees to feel the back right side of the neck. But again, just gently pulling, nothing too much. And when you're ready, release and move it around. And there, right there is the neck. We're going to work our shoulders next. Hands on shoulder blades to begin. You're just going to rotate. Nothing crazy. We just want to loosen up the joints right before we get into too deep of our stretches. With the shoulders, again, for about a minute or two. The neck, I usually hold pose for 20, 30 seconds. A few times one way, a few the others. Doing your best to balance on that. Once you feel that balance, you shake it off a little bit. We're going to do what's called the eagle arm pose to begin. This stretch will be through the backs of our shoulders. We'll do one at a time. Let's say it's going to be the back left shoulder that we start with. So what you'll do, you have your left arm on top of your right. Your elbows will stack like so. If you can grab your hands, go for it. And if not, it's fine. You could just straighten your left arm and achieve the stretch this way too. What I want you to do is pull your left arm to the right side of your body. Right? You really have to cross this arm over to feel the effect of the stretch. So you're going to have to use a little bit of muscular effort. Something you can do is just pull more for a stretch. Or you can decrease it by coming back to the center. You could even try lifting up or try lowering down. We call it the sleeping eagle pose when you start bending forward. It actually feels really good, so I'm going to hang out right here. Sometimes you just fall right into a pose and immediately know this is what you need to do for today's practice. So I'm right here, I'm going to stay here. It feels really nice through my shoulders. Remember to breathe, though. Deep inhales, deep exhales. When you're ready, really slowly let it out. There it is, move it around. Shake it off. But we gotta do the other side, right? So if you're on the same page as me, it's now the right arm on top of the left with the elbow stacked. Grab your hands if you can, and if not, straighten the arm. Whatever you need to do, but it is the back right shoulder getting the stretch. And you achieve it by pulling your right arm away from the body. So if you're stretching the right arm, you gotta pull the right arm to the left. It has to come away so you can feel the stretch. Back right shoulder, modify as much as you want. Two sides are different. You might have to really pull here to feel anything. Or you might have to come back to the center because it's just too much. Or you gotta try lifting up. You gotta try lowering down. That feels pretty good on this side too. It's interesting. You know, I never know, to be totally honest with you, I never know what I'm gonna do in a practice and how I'm gonna achieve it. I have ideas of I wanna stretch this area, but a lot of times I'll get to a pose that I have in mind and it doesn't work. Some days it does, some days it doesn't. So I'm constantly thinking to myself, okay, well if it doesn't work this way, what's another way I can do it? And with that mindset, you're keeping towards the functional perspective of am I feeling the intention of the pose? And that's what I want you to do. I want you to feel it. I don't want you to think too much about what do I look like. And if you're ready, there's the time again for you. Just really slowly letting it out. Move it around a little bit. We're going to do a pose called the broken wing. This is a rotator cuff stretch. It runs directly over the top of the shoulder here. It's actually, just to be specific, it's the supraspinatus tendon. It's a really big one right here of the shoulder. You're going to lay on your back. Doesn't matter which side you start with. You're going to have your hand behind your back. Your palm, just so we all know, it's going to be facing out. So in this case, it's actually going to be facing the floor. So you're going to lay here. You can have your knees bent, feel on the floor, or you can slide your legs out, just wherever you're comfortable, right? It's fine. But again, right over the top of the shoulder. If you need to increase this one, you're going to lift your hand up your back towards your head. To decrease, you lower down the back, maybe even towards your glutes, right? But you could be anywhere in between, as long as you're feeling the stretch right over the top of that shoulder. And again, we'll hold it for a little bit, like minute or two. You could go for longer, but again, with the time constraints, we're doing it for about a minute in this practice. When you're ready, there's time. I want you to roll away from the arm, just very slowly, and then let it out. Move it around a little bit if you need to. Just take a moment here. Other side, whatever side you are on. Remember, you have the hand behind your back, your palm faces out. So we all know, right? Palm facing out. But in reality, in this pose, it's actually facing the floor. But two sides are different. So when you get to laying down here, again, could be knees bent, feeling the floor, or sliding the legs out, just wherever you're comfortable. Just know that the position of your hand and your arm could be different. It could be really high up the back as you feel little to no stretch. It could be up towards your neck. Could be lower down the back. Could be towards your glutes, towards your butt muscles, just to be crude about it. Could be somewhere in between. Again, as long as it's over the top of the shoulder. But I'm pretty certain it's going to be different on the two sides. And again, not just because of flexibility differences, but because of skeletal differences. Shape of the humerus, shape of the acromion process, shape of the scapula, right? There's lots of variation that comes with that. So just knowing I'm going to do it different on this side, it's going to spare you from the disappointment of not being perfectly aligned. Because if I can share a secret with you, perfect alignment doesn't exist. When you are ready, though, there's your time, just slowly rolling away from the arm to let it out. Moving around. Just take a moment right here. We have one more pose to do, and this is going to be for the insides of the shoulder. We're going to do a twist to make this happen. I think it's just easier to make it work this way. So what we're going to do, let's coordinate directions here. You're going to lay on your back, bring your knees up to your chest, and then over to the right. You're going to actually lay your legs down on the floor here going to the right. So you're going to feel not just a shoulder stretch, but a side body twist here. But the shoulder I want you to stretch, I want you to take your left arm out to the side. We could say out to the T if you have both arms out, but I'm only saying the left arm because this is the target area here, right through the left chest and shoulder. And there's a couple ways to play around with this. Palms up, like so, or palms down. Maybe you try that out for yourself. It is going to change the intensity of the stretch, whether it's increasing it or decreasing it. But just so we know, that does make a difference for you. And just feel it for a moment. But I will give you one more modification. This actually involves your neck. Instead of looking away from your legs, maybe you look with your legs. If you look with the legs, you're going to increase that chest and shoulder opener. I noticed that looking with my legs ended up being too much of a stretch, so I'm just going to keep looking away from them, looking towards that left arm that's getting the stretch here. If you are ready, though, we'll say it's time. Just slowly unwinding from your twist here, taking that time. Move it around a little bit. Other side, though, if you're ready, and if you're on the same page as me, you're now laying on your back, knees up to chest, legs over to the left, and opening the right arm out to the side here. So it's the inside of the right chest and shoulder getting the opener here. But with two sides being different, you're probably gonna notice that. And it's not just for the shoulders, but also for the twist itself. If you need to, you can always use like a block to put it in between your knees or onto your bottom legs, whatever you feel comfortable with. Or you might not need it at all. But again, inside of the shoulder, of the right shoulder, you could have palms up like so, or palms down. It's going to change the intensity. And then the last thing to adjust with the shoulders, it's actually not even your shoulders, it's the neck. Looking away from the legs is more for the neck, but looking with your legs is more for the shoulder. And you know what's interesting? How I just mentioned on the other side, it was uncomfortable to look with my legs. On this side, it's actually very comfortable. So I'm just going to keep looking with it. When you're ready, there's the time for you slowly unwinding from your twist and letting that arm come back in. And just take a moment here. We are actually at the end of our practice. If you feel like you could use a little bit more, you can always do last week's spine series. In fact, I would actually recommend it because we didn't do a twist for that particular practice. So since you just got done doing a twist here, feel free to do a bunch of forward bends and back bends. I would say that's going to be the best option for you if you want to continue with your practice after this. But if you're ready to end it, Shavasana, corpse pose, you can lay on your back if you'd like to. You lay on your side or even on your stomach. Some people like to sit upright like they're in meditation. Just wherever you're comfortable, go there and then close your eyes. There's nothing to see at this point, just more to feel and pay attention to. Go ahead and focus on your breath. Breathe low in your belly and low in your diaphragm. Turn your senses, your awareness within. And for the last few minutes, just give your body a compare and contrast. How different does your upper body feel after doing those neck and shoulder poses? No formal ending to our practice. You keep your eyes closed as long as you like. But that is officially all that I have for you. I want to thank you all for watching and sharing your practice with me. It's been my pleasure. Namaste.